Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell, and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs, and I've been in business since 1994. The purpose of this podcast is to get to what really works and what doesn't work based on science. Hence the name Method to the Madness. There is a method to the madness. First, let me thank our sponsors, Jonathan and Lyn Gildon of the Gildon Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 280 five-star reviews on Zillow. These guys have those kind of ratings because they're the best. All right, so if you're looking to sell your home or buy something new, give them a shout. Jonathan and Lyn will be happy to help you. I will put their information in the show notes. All right, so we're going to move into a little bit of a, difficult and negative topic today. It came up on the internet the other day. A person asked me, a random person actually, who I do not know, but they asked me about drugs and steroids and things of that nature. When I say things of that nature, because there are different types of PEDs, performance enhancing drugs. So we often think of steroids and kind of lump them all together. I'm going to go into that a little bit. But anyway, his comment to me was that he knew some people that were doing them, and they were, just basically your average ham and egger, trying to get a little bit bigger and stronger and feel better about themselves and feel better about their bodies and do more with their bodies. And he didn't think that this was a very good idea, which he's right. And, kind of wanted to know how to approach it. So I thought it was a great subject, one that I'll try to tackle here, although in the 15, 20 minutes that I allot myself on these podcasts most of the time, seriously doubt I can get into all of it. But, as far as answering the question, let's try. So first off, let me try to distinguish the different types of PEDs. Real quick, I'll just say that when we all heard about Lance Armstrong and a lot of the endurance athletes doping, that everybody thought oh, that's dope, literally dope, and I guess in drug world, dope is heroin and all that. I don't think they thought that, but they heard doping and thought drugs, and I think a lot of people just automatically thought steroids, anabolic steroids, I should say, growth hormones and steroids with these guys. And for the most part, that is just not true. I say for the most part because there was some use of corticosteroids, which are a little bit different for recovery, tissue recovery, especially in the crotch area and those kind of things. And to some extent, that's allowed. To some extent, that's banned. And they did get nailed for a little bit of that. But really, the main thing that the doping was implying is they were blood doping, which means that they were using EPO and that they were removing red blood cells, doing basic transfusions on themselves and inserting more red blood cells. And they're using EPO, which increases the amount of red blood cells in the body. That's what they were doing because that's what they need. So we have to be careful to kind of lump all of these people that have been caught using drugs or do use drugs or want to use drugs into the same category, because it's not true. There's all different kinds of classifications of PEDs, which is performance enhancing drugs. And believe it or not, one of the top PEDs out there that's most beneficial is caffeine. And yes, you heard me right. It is a banned substance in the USOC, United States Olympic Committee. Too much caffeine is banned. Basically, anything more than a cup of coffee is not tolerated. So we have to be careful what we lump under PEDs, because you and I are taking them. If we drink coffee, I probably had way too much this morning already. So, but this subject or this question was about basically steroids, growth style hormones. So there are different kinds that are used to promote growth. And they are basically testosterone. Testosterone, of course, is naturally produced. Well, all these are naturally produced, but when we hear of people taking them, we're hearing derivatives and synthetics of the naturally produced. But there is testosterone that is an anabolic steroid, and anabolic means growth. And naturally, we all have a certain amount of testosterone, even females, not as much as men, but we all have a natural amount. And it is also natural for this amount to decline as we age. And it does definitely start to plateau in midlife and start to decline. It actually plateaus before midlife and definitely declines. And that's kind of normal, but I'll get into that. And then there is HGH, which is human growth hormone. And that is not an anabolic steroid, although it works like an anabolic steroid. It is a growth providing hormone, which is why it's called HGH, human growth hormone. But it is a derivative of protein, whereas anabolic steroids or testosterone is a derivative of your testes. So it is different. It's anabolic and it's actually produced from cholesterol, and growth hormone is a derivative of protein, natural proteins in the body. Works the same way for the most part, but it is different. All right. So there were some actors, maybe actresses, but mostly actors that were really pushing for the legalization of human growth hormone. They felt like it was far more effective than basic anabolic steroids. And, they were actually calling it the fountain of youth. And I'm not going to name names. I think if you just go into the news cycle, you'll see who these people were. But they really were pushing for it probably about a decade ago. And I'm sure if they had their way, they'd be pushing it now. That's their business, I suppose. But HGH has slightly different side effects than the other steroids. One of the most noticeable side effects that's a little different is the growth of the skull. So you literally see the skull change in people that are taking human growth hormone. Most likely you just had some images come to mind. I know I did. And then finally there is insulin growth factor F, which is used as a steroid or an anabolic agent for muscle growth. And insulin means that it comes from the pancreas, so it doesn't come from the testes, and it's not a natural derivative of protein. It is normally used for other things in the body with regulation of glucose and those types of things, which is mostly what the pancreas is about. But IGF is also mixed and used and cycled in with other types of steroids. And then within that, within the anabolic family, there's a lot of different types that people take, and you'll hear different street names, which I really don't see the reason to go into, but there are different types. I was actually speaking to a friend last night talking about horse racing, and it's sick in my opinion. Hopefully most what they do to these race horses to get them ready to race, and one of the steroids used is called Phenojet, and it's a steroid for race horses, and men were, maybe women too, but I know men were in the 80s and 90s taking this as a steroid, which can you imagine what it's doing? So that's the breakdown of drugs, their categories, and now let me talk about three things, Number one, let me just get the kind of obvious out of the way, okay? And that is they work. I mean, they do what they're intended to do. Your body only produces a certain amount of these hormones, these natural hormones at rest. It just only produces a certain amount. No matter who you are, no matter who I am, our bodies only produce a certain amount. It is different for everybody. We all have slightly different testosterone levels. Now, You may know people who have high levels of testosterone, and you knew that when we were all younger, say high school, college age. They were the guys who basically were growing beards in junior high school. They simply had more testosterone than their peers. Now, that comes with a downside oftentimes, right? I mean, you can also see that case of losing the hair a little bit early on. Not always, but that is one of the side effects. So if we have more testosterone, say, than we are supposed to, that kind of comes with the territory. So, but we all have different levels, and early on in life, you can kind of tell who these people are and who they aren't. All right, you see it more in appearances, not so much in behavior, although that does happen when people are taking illicit steroids. All right, so they do work because, again, we only have a certain amount of resting levels, and I keep stressing that because some people talk about how the steroids and hormones are boosted when we work out, and that's true. So when we work out and we're doing a high intensity workout, there is more growth hormones flowing through our bloodstreams, absolutely. But that's not when we grow. And as soon as we stop working out, these steroids, these hormones go back to their resting levels. We actually grow during anabolism, which means when we rest. Anabolic steroids, when we rest. So if you have more natural resting levels of these hormones when you rest, you are going to recover faster and be able to work out more. So that's why they, quote, work, unquote. So when people take these steroids illicitly, all right, when they're taking them, whether it be street drugs or through pharmacology with their doctors nowadays, they're simply boosting their levels of resting hormones. So when they rest, their muscles recover. And that's what steroids do. They simply help you recover. Now, one of the myths is that they can take somebody who's, that 98-pound weakling they used to talk about in the magazines when we were all kids, and who was it? Tony Atlas, I don't remember. But those silly comic book ads, quit getting sand kicked in your face, and they'd show the 98-pound weakling, And people believe that, well, that guy can take steroids and get big. And that's just not true. So steroids aren't going to make you into a different body type that you're not. What they're going to do is add to the body type that you are. So if you naturally have a propensity towards muscle mass because you have all the other genetic qualifications, such as fast twitch muscle fiber, long muscle bellies, you're a mesomorph, those are the three, and then the other one is your resting level of hormones. But if you have the other three, then yeah, you're going to get huge if you take them, right? So they're not going to turn you into something you're not. That's a myth. When people say, oh, he's just juiced up, that could be true. He would have been big anyway, maybe just not, most likely just not as big. So that's the first thing. They work. That method to the madness says this is why they work. They help you recover so you can work out more. The frequency of your workouts can increase. You can work out possibly 2 times a day. You're not going to have the muscle damage that normal people have in normal situations. All right. The second part of this is, though, and you have to understand, if you've listened to this in the past, that I am not a proponent of these things. I'm the opposite. I think it is absolutely ridiculous. I'll give a caveat to that at the very end. But for the most part, I think it's ridiculous. And when amateur people are trying to do this to, quote, get big. So the second part of this lesson is there are side effects. I mean, there are major side effects to these things. And it's important to understand that they don't just go where you want them to go. They promote growth all over, right? So, the minor, quote, minor side effects to these things are increased acne, balding, because again, you age faster. I mean, everything is going to age faster. Nature knows what it's doing. Testicular shrinkage goes on. I was going to say one of the other ones, but you know what? Family show. But, these things do happen. It absolutely is true. Those are quote, minor, really. The major ones are they can create major health problems because the growth goes everywhere. That means to your heart, to your kidneys, to your liver, to your brain. So we don't know really, where these things are absolutely going to target. We inject them. Most of the time it's injectables. And you just think, oh, great, I'm going to get bigger biceps. It's going to go to my quads. It's going to go to my glutes. It's going to go to my biceps. It's like, yeah. And maybe to your kidneys, to your liver, to your heart, and to your brain. So we don't know, right? We don't know, especially when these are street drugs, all right? So that's the second part, is there's side effects. And to all these people listening and to the people that ask me online about what do you tell your friends, you tell them there are serious side effects. All you have to do is look them up. I mean, I could state them all now, All right, you know what? I'm going to say it, a little shock value here, but I remember when I taught my students in sports medicine, they'd read these side effects of anabolic steroids, and obviously, or hopefully obviously, when this one is, towards the women, but one of the growth effects is clitoral hypertrophy. So, so the opposite happens with women than happens to men. So men get the shrinkage from the steroids, the women get growth. Why? I don't know. But that is one of the listed side effects, and you can look them all up. Men start to develop, breast tissue, which in the industry, close your ears if you're kids, but basically those are called bitch titties. That's, I know, not a very nice word at all, not appropriate at all, but just to know that these things do cause a lot of fatty tissue over the pectoralis major. And those are kind of like telltale signs when somebody is taking them. You can see that. You can see the acne on the back. You can see the balding. You can see all these effects. But again, more important than that, because those things go away except for the baldness, it can create major health damage. All right. So the third thing is, this is my reasoning to people on this, is like, what are you thinking here? All right. So like I said, there's going to be a caveat to when I said nobody should take them. I mean, I still pretty much hold firm to that, but I also understand that if somebody is under the care of their physician and they're doing this for other than vanity reasons, then I'm not going to get involved and I'm not going to have an opinion on that. I mean, that is their business. And there is a huge difference between doing that and then taking a street drug, or because one of your buddies is doing it and telling you how to inject yourselves and telling you how much to do and all this kind of stuff. So under medical treatment, typically they are being monitored. They're getting blood tested. They're having all of their organs checked. They're getting the right dose for their body weight and all that stuff. And, many of the professionals that get popped for this, that are taking them in any of the major league sports that we watch, they are, most of them, under medical care as well. I'm not saying that is okay, but they are under medical care, and that is a heck of a lot safer than basically just playing Russian roulette with doses and things like that. And also being empathetic to, and again, I don't want to be, misquoted here saying that I think it's okay for the professional athletes, because I don't, and I wish like they cleaned that all up and just said, you know what, we're going to have a firm drug testing program, not random, not all this crap. And trust me, I've been around this game a long time, and I know how it works on the inside. And it is very easy for a lot of these guys to skate different kinds of tests, the way that it's done and who's targeted and who's not targeted and all that kind of stuff. And it creates a lot of resentment among ball players. And they could really eliminate all of that by simply having a more firm drug testing program in professional sports. Amateurs do a really good job. Really good job. I know people that play college football, that have played college football, and they've told me no matter who it is, guys on the team can get tested up to 5 times a week. So they're super strict. So I really don't think in these amateur sports, at least the ones I follow, there's any of this going on. Professionals, I mean, yeah, we know it is because they're getting nailed left and right, right? But I also know that it's very select on who's getting tested and who's not in this. You know, it's random versus maybe every 6 weeks, everybody comes in and gets tested. If they really wanted to clean up every sport, that's what they would do. It is so simple. Having said that, you know, do I blame people? No, because if you know that you're going to make, say, $5 million a year, some astronomical amount of money, which I guess in today's sports world isn't even that much anymore, if you're doing this, and without that, you were making $600,000 because the guy who you're trying to beat out for your position is doing this, would I say I would do that? I don't know. I'd like to say no. I mean, I'd like to sit back here on my throne and say no, but I'm not in that situation. So I can say, that is a tough decision at that point, right? So it's hard. And I just say, you know, to take that choice away, just have better testing measures. But so that's my caveat. Like, it makes sort of sense there and sort of sense under medical supervision, although I can honestly say I never have, and I never even really thought about it because I'm not a professional athlete. I'm nowhere close to one. I've done bodybuilding. I don't know. It just, to me, you know, just never seemed like it was worth it and seemed pretty damn stupid, if you want me to be truthful with you. And that's my final push here is just, look, if you're just some dude that wants to go to LA Fitness or wants to go to your CrossFit group or wants to, and I'm just making this up. Like I said, people that ask me, I have no idea. Know a lot of people on the internet. A lot of people ask me questions that I don't even know what they really look like. So I just thought it was a good topic. But, you know, or wherever you're going to work out and you just want to be king of the gym, you just want to be Joe Stud, you just want to go to the beach and take your shirt off and have more women or men, whatever you're into, stare at you, you got problems. I mean, and this isn't going to solve them. I mean, you know, you're going to do this and then you're going to need something else because it'll never be enough. I mean, this is not going to fix what's broken in you, that you need to take something anabolic or outside of your body that is unsafe to fix it. I hate to break it to you. It's not going to work. And I think for those people out there that are asking how to speak to their friends, I think give them a hard slap on the face like that, a hard dose of reality, a big dose of tough love, and say, dude, what is your problem? You just want to get more chicks? You just want to get more guys? I mean, why? It's not going to last. They're buying a fake product. That's not who you are. You know, I mean, it's just, to me, it's just absolutely ridiculous, you know, and I'm not meaning to sound judgmental on this or, you know, I've got my own problems, but that to me is obvious. It is not going to work. It's not going to work. And if you get sick over it, I promise you, you will resent that decision. You will absolutely look back and regret it and resent it. Resent yourself for being so shallow that you think you need that. All right. So I know a little bit of a dark topic today, but you know what? We got to cover these things. We got to do the real talk, and hopefully that helps a lot of people out there. All right. I'm not pro-drug. Isn't that pretty obvious on that? I'm talking these kind of drugs. All right. Drugs you need for your health. Absolutely. Listen to your doctors. All right. All right. So now let me thank my good friends, Jeffrey and Zachary Hawk of Daytona Beach Overhead Door. They are simply the best. They make the best doors. They make the best openers. They make the best remotes. And they have the best customer service. So you cannot beat that. All right? So please check them out. I will put their information in the show notes. They're waiting for you to call. They're waiting for you to come out, call, so they can drop off a brand new garage door to you when you're ready. All right? Be well.